All right, my friends, I want to talk about something that a lot of people just don't understand. So some days I do wish that I would have just stayed on consoles, you know, so that things wouldn't be as complicated as they are, at least for the channel. For the channel. As for gaming, going to PC, probably the absolute best decision I ever made in my life. But it also complicates things going forward, you know, on the channel. Like, what do? I started as a console guy. I moved over to PC. You know, and you see this with other content creators out there. All of them got 4090s and they're all still covering like Xbox and PlayStation and all of that stuff. And, you know, trying to drive excitement for the consoles and stuff. And to me, that just feels disingenuous. Honestly, knowing what I know about PC and consoles and just the way things work and how each ecosystem is inherently, you know, one is like going to save you a ton of money down the road. The other one is going to continuously cost you money. You're going to have to keep upgrading. You're going to have to keep spending money on frivolous things like to play your video games online and, you know, or paying that extra, you know, tax on top of every video game. Most games that come to Steam and stuff come out still at $59.99. There are a few, you know, like your Take-Two and, you know, some of your other bigger publishers that are just like, yeah, we don't care. We're going to sell them for $70 regardless. But most of the games are still coming in around $60. Dragon Age Veilguard, even on EA's own store, is only $60, where it is $70 for the consoles. So you're paying that $10 tax just to be a console gamer. And a lot of people just don't understand this. Like, it doesn't compute that, like, you know, they look at they're more willing to accept the nickel and diming instead of just paying that cost for a PC up front. Now, a lot of people probably try to make fun of me because of how much money I spent on GPUs this last generation. I spent over $5,000 on GPUs, and a lot of people laugh at me. Well, here's the thing, guys, and if I had not done that, I wouldn't know anything. But doing that gave me the absolute confidence to pick exactly what build I want. Most people are going to watch a YouTube video, they're going to watch their favorite streamer or their YouTuber, and they're going to buy that product. And they're going to buy that product at whatever price point they can afford to get into. And that sucks, because that is going to, you know, this is the way I look at it, and this is exactly how it all like started sounding to me. Nvidia does have the best absolute Halo product in the 4090. Like, there's no question about it. That is the best, period. Everything under that is a cut down rendition of that platform that is designed to give you, you know, just enough. And that's exactly how I feel with Nvidia. Every step is just enough to barely, it's almost like it's just enough to barely get you by. And, you know, like trying to argue with people online about this and that and all of that stuff, sometimes it's literally just pointless, because they're going from a point of Halo product down. They're arguing from that Halo product across the board, when we all know that, you know, I mean, I made the video the other day. Obviously, your 4060 and all of your other cards, all up the ladder, do have a place in gaming, and they all can represent and give you a good experience. But the thing is when these content creators are out there saying, yes, this is the best, they're not technically lying. You know what I mean? The 4090 is absolutely the best piece of GPU hardware on the market that you can get. There's no question about that. I don't even dispute that. The second best on the market right now is the 7900 XTX. Give or take ray tracing performance and upscaling performance with DLSS. Like, the 7900 XTX, brute force is the second best that you can get on the market today. Now, when you look at all of the money that I spent and all of the products that I tested and I went through trying to really gauge where I wanted to be in the PC space, that cost a lot of money and it took a lot of time, and I tried to put out content along the way so that people could understand and see how I was feeling exactly in that moment with that specific piece of hardware that I had. Things did get a little bit jumbled when I started, you know, trying to compare like the Nvidia versus the AMD. Once that started happening, like it really emphasized the positives about the AMD experience and really emphasized the negatives that about the Nvidia experience. When you have two contrasting different options and you're really into one and you're really liking the feature set that one has, and then you compare that to it, what in a lot of times just felt kind of bare bones on the Nvidia side. It's like, wow, what the heck? They got all these like next gen forward thinking features, but they don't have these basic features that really push and empower you on the AMD side to really get the most out of your gaming. On Nvidia, it's like you flip a couple switches, DLSS, RTX, blah, 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 and then you just play. Whereas on AMD, you don't necessarily have to, but because you could do like the little flicks or whatever for ray tracing and all of that on AMD too, but when you actually get into the better, I would say more organized and more user-friendly Adrenaline software versus what the Nvidia app or GeForce Now or the damn control, the control panel for Nvidia have, there's like 3 different things that you got to play around with on Nvidia where everything is just in one spot for AMD, so it makes it easier to get in there and learn and to find things and to figure stuff out. And those basic features for that experience really can drive your experience gaming enough to where the forward thinking stuff like ray tracing and you know, like DLSS and stuff might not matter, and especially won't matter because if you're buying in, okay, say you're gonna spend for 4060 Ti or 4080, obviously the 4080 Super, they had to drop the price because the 7900 XTX is just too good to try to, you know, sell something like a 4080 for $200 more. It just doesn't make sense. That 7900 XTX is good, and you know, across the board it's been pretty dang consistent. But when you're looking at something like say your 4070 Ti, I think that one came out at, just your 4070 Ti came out at like $800. Like it was $800 for that card at launch, and right across the aisle, your AMD offering for $900 is 20 gigs of VRAM, had way more power than a 4070 Ti, and it was just like, well, not way more power, but a significant improvement over that to where you're like, ooh boy, dang, I can get 20 gigs, I can get this, I can get a little bit more future-proofing, it's got a much wider bus rate. It just seems like a better overall buy if you look at it that way. Like you buying into an Nvidia in my opinion, with the 40 series, they're not bad cards at all. They really do a good job. But when you look at that, like your 4070 Ti versus like your 7900 GRE, I think that's probably more of a fair comparison. Your GRE's got 16 gigs of RAM. Your 4070 Ti had 12, and so right there, that's going to add a little bit more longevity. Your 7900 GRE has a 256 bit bus, which is going to be able to like run games at a higher resolution, maybe a little bit longer with a little bit higher settings, whereas your 4070 Ti had a 192 bit bus. So not a whole major difference, but enough to where you might run into some problems down the road with trying to feed that thing, you know, all that information and stuff. Not to an extent that like during the generation you're really going to notice. It's not going to be until after. And that's the way it kind of always is with the Nvidia products, is unless you're buying like top end stuff, you're going to meet those limitations a lot quicker on the Nvidia side than I think you are, at least from the 6000 series and 7000 series of AMD GPUs so far. Now, like I said in the beginning of this video, my friends, a lot of people might find it kind of weird that I spent all that money and I didn't walk away with a 4090. And you're right, like that's obviously all the money that I spent, I should have just bought a 4090. Clearly, that is the best that you can get. But that wasn't my goal, my friends. My goal was to learn as much as I can in my real world experience on my hardware, on my equipment, in my house, on my screens, to see what is best for me. Now, obviously, if I was out there watching everybody else's content, you bet your bottom dollar that I would have went with the Nvidia 4090. but I'd already started having my experiences with Nvidia. And so I made the decision, you know, as opposed to just quitting PC gaming and being like, nah, I'm good, I'm just going back to consoles, it's a lot more simple. I gave AMD a shot. I did. I was like, all right, whatever, you know, 7900 XT, same price I paid for the freaking 3080 10 gig. Let's give it a shot. That was like my Hail Mary to like, all right, let's see what PC gaming has to offer on the AMD side. Everybody else said it was trash. And this is the thing, like, you really do kind of believe that when you hear it so much. AMD's trash, AMD's trash, AMD's trash. That's the thought that goes through your head when you're like, oh man, oh gosh, should I just get the Nvidia product? It's better, everybody says it's better, but this one here is cheaper and it's got more, but I mean, it's trash. And this one here's, man, it is one of the hardest freaking decisions that you're ever gonna make when you first start PC gaming. And I wish there were more content creators out there that really did utilize and use AMD as their freaking main source for all of their content creation, all of their gaming. I wish there were more of them, but there's just not enough, and they get drowned out so bad. The pushback that I get on this channel, I mean, obviously I bring some of it on myself with my titles and the content that I make, but there's got to be some pushback, man. Like, you have to kind of push back against Nvidia, because while they are good, in my opinion, AMD is just as good for different reasons. And I've enjoyed my experience. Like, literally, we're almost to the end of the generation. I bought AMD back in July of 2023, and I'm still rocking AMD. And clearly, I've spent enough money on PC gaming to where I could have easily just bought a 4090 and been done with it, and just been like, yeah, whatever. This is the best. I'm going with the best. There's something about AMD that is special that keeps me there, and I like it. I do. I genuinely like the AMD experience more than I like the next gen features of Nvidia. But that could change, guys. Like, that could easily change. They could all of a sudden, all games start running ray tracing and all of that stuff, and then all of a sudden I need to upgrade so that I can start playing all of them. But in my testing, guys, with the 7900 XT, from the 7800 XT up, the ray tracing performance has been like playable. Like, you could play the majority of ray tracing games on AMD hardware on the 7000 series cards. There's only a few, like the ones that absolutely have Nvidia branding for their ray tracing and stuff. Those ones definitely tank your AMD performance, but you can still get a lot of that back. You know, if you're like, you can get some of that. Like, it's only the path tracing that really tanks the 7000 series GPUs. All the other ray tracing, that usually is pretty good. Maybe not as good as the Nvidia brand, but good enough to where you can get a playable experience on that and enjoy it, and it still looks good. So I get that people look at me and probably like, dude, you just wasted so much money on your channel. And it's something that, like, I had to do it for myself. I had to figure out exactly what I liked, because I just can't go off of what other people say, especially when everybody's just like so against something, so against one product. It kind of makes you just kind of think, like, because in our society these days, there are so many, there's so many sheep in the world today. And I know by the kind of job that I do, like fixing stuff, and like, you know, working with my hands and stuff, that everything's not always as it seems. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you've got like tools and all of that kind of stuff. Like, it's weird, man. There's so many of these brands out there that have just built like such a strong brand name that everybody will just buy that just because of the brand name. Seriously, guys, it's pretty crazy. And, you know, sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. When you're looking at like and this is usually like, the name brand is always going to be better than the knockoff brand, period. Like, you're always going to get a better bang for your buck going with the straight up brand name over something like a knockoff item. But another competing company that offers a similar product that has, you know, a good freaking standing in the market as well, it's a lot more complicated. It's a lot more complicated. You kind of do have to try both. Like AMD and Nvidia have both been there for a long time with ATI, part of AMD or whatever. They've been there for a long time. Like these guys have been trading blows for as long as freaking GPUs have been around. So when you look at that and you take that into consideration, both of these manufacturers, both AMD, Nvidia, and even Intel with their Battle Mage when that comes out, they are all worth giving a try instead of just taking somebody else's word for it. Oh yeah, that one's better. Nvidia hands those things out like candy, man. So you got to take that into consideration. That, like, look, man, if you want free Nvidia GPUs, you probably have to toe the line, man. Like it's probably pretty obvious. If you want free Nvidia GPUs, you're going to be toeing the line, helping them sell those. Now, in closing for this video, we have the 50 series that are about to launch, the Radeon A4 that are about to launch within the next few months. Obviously, probably the first of next year. I still would recommend 7900 XTX, 7900 XT, 7900 GRE, all of those cards. I would still have faith in the 7000 series cards, just due to the fact that I really do believe that FSR4 is going to be available on these cards beginning of next year when it launches with RDNA 4. I do feel like it's probably safe to buy these, even just because, I mean, even with the inclusion of AMD's Fluid Motion Frames 2, I still think these cards are a fair buy. I still think these cards are a good buy. So on the Nvidia side, I don't think they're going to have any problems selling out their cards. But if you can get a good enough deal on any of these 7000 series cards before the 8000 series card launches, I think you'll probably be all right. I definitely think you'll be all right. So, all right, guys, if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.